I thank you all for being who you are. On that note, if we all had champagne glasses and all that sort of stuff, I would propose a toast, but we haven't at the moment. So, but it would be to propose a toast for life at 21. These are the times to remember. That's basically all the formal stuff. Just one. So again, just one more pointer that I'd like to mention. I couldn't get away from this, not particularly not now. The Wills by-election. but I have not been able to thank everyone who should be thanked, particularly now that you're all congregated in one room. For those who don't know or can't remember or something like that, I stood as an independent candidate in the Wills by-election. Okay, and that was back in April. I'd like to thank, firstly, those of you who offered me moral support. I thank you very much. It's an intangible product. It's an intangible concept, moral support, but it certainly comes in very handy. I would like to thank, secondly, those of you who either voted for me or told their friends to vote for me. I appreciate that. I really do. Even though you didn't know even though you didn't care or know what the hell I was on about, just by virtue of being my friend or knowing someone who knew me, you voted for me. So, thank you again. I appreciate that. And I would like to thank the following for actually helping me out during the campaign, particularly these people. Because I imagine if I was to Phil Cleary or whoever in Parliament, it was these sort of people who were the background people who you don't see up there in the lights, but they're responsible for the people who are in Parliament. Okay, the following are Dom Cristiano. Thank you for all those nights in front of your computer, getting those pamphlets out. Chris Harris, for handing out all those pamphlets for me, although I forced them upon you, but thank you very much. Simon, Geraldine and Deirdre, who aren't here today, but who were people I met on the campaign trail while I was door knocking. And they were a fantastic bunch of young kids.
Justin?
I spent. Martin Beckett, for helping me write out a couple of those long paragraphs of things that are now permanently in newspapers all over Melbourne. I thank you for that, Martin. Loris, who isn't here today, and Silvana, who I didn't con, but they took it upon themselves to take posters of me that I'd gotten up with my ugly head on there with Salvatore Ferraro, vote one. Took them all around Faulkner and posted them up everywhere, train stations, and I certainly hope they didn't want to be like all of that. But I thank you a lot for that, Silvana and Loris. I appreciate that. My parents, of course. I have to thank my parents. Mainly financially speaking. They were the poor buggers who had to pay for all of this. But I really think, I don't think my parents was sort of wild about the idea of me standing initially. They didn't really know what to sort of think of it. But I think in the end they come around and like, Dad said, why didn't you sort of tell us earlier? Why didn't you sort of get this thing started earlier? We could have really made something big about this. I'm sort of sure he was proud about his sort of little boy, Italian boy, sort of getting up there and sort of making a whole heap of noise and giving a lot of other people a lot of the shits. So anyway, so thank you, Mum and Dad. My brother Mike, again, he comes up everywhere I sort of. I'm sure I've told some of you how Mike wasn't too impressed about me standing initially, and probably even at the end. He probably wasn't impressed, and he never will be. We had a bit of a discussion, if you want to call it that. Not only over the phone, but like personally, like on the kitchen table. But credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. Michael volunteered to hand out pamphlets for me at Essendon, so thank you, Mike. I was surprised. I wasn't even considering giving you any because I'm thinking, oh, he's lost the plot, Mike. But you volunteered upon yourself to do that for me, so I appreciate it. And finally, my mum mentioned before the name Justin. And he, well, what can I say?
Say anything.
I didn't have him last. Legal last or best? Oh, sorry.
No,
okay.
best till last.
Justin, well, bit of a story. Not only Justin, but I'd like to thank the whole Soy's household, which is his family, Justin Soy's his household, because I got this radical idea of standing one night or one morning, and it took a couple of days to sink in. Anyway, I was thinking about it and thinking what a wild idea this is simply too wild to sort of carry through. But what happened in the end? I needed to get 6 signatures from people who live in Wills. And I remember Justin saying, look, a lot over our place, as casual as Justin always is, a lot over our place, and my parents would be happy to sort of, sign their names to your application. So I logged over on a Thursday night. It must have been about 9 o'clock, and I was still very uncertain of standing, mainly because of the $250 fee. As I'm sure you know, you've got to be pragmatic about these things. And
You're going to use it once, didn't you?
Anyway, I know. And sorry, Dad's mine, that one. And so I rolled up to the Soy's household and sort of, I didn't know them very well apart from Justin, and I sort of sat down, and again at that stage I was undecided, and I only had a half a day to decide, because the following day was the deadline to sort of have you cash in and your names and the people who live in the area, 6 of those. So I've gone over and what can I say? Like when I left, put it this way, I was totally convinced that I was standing. There was no question about it. That's how much of an effect that had on me. And the fact that it was probably in my 4 weeks of my existence that I've probably learnt the most in my life. It all probably wouldn't have happened had I sort of paid that visit to Justin and his household. So thank you very much for that.
No problem.
On that note, if you all had glasses in your hand, which you don't, sorry, I should have thought of this. Champagne? No. I would have proposed a toast to the High Courts and the position to keep Phil Cleary up. But on that note, I think that's about all I have to say. I think that's about all I have to say. Sorry, mate, Ross is getting a bit emotional there. So, again, I'd just like to thank all of you for being who you are, for being here, and appreciate you all having come. That's about all. I'll shut up now.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sonny. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Speech. Thanks. Christ! It's like I've been on